So it was the evening of July the 6th of this year, and there was an ambulance on the way to my house. There was also a midwife on the way to my house, but my baby, well, she was nearly here. And when I say nearly here, I mean like head crowning, the urge to push nearly here, like moments away. Now, was I scared? No. With birth, more often than most, we think of birth as like horror, terror, drama, panic, and a positive birth story is almost unattainable. It's almost like we don't even believe them to be possible. So in that moment, was I stressed? No. Was I in pain? Yeah, yes. That's the catch, unfortunately. I was in pain, but I'll come on to that in a little while. But was I ready? Yes. And pardon the pun, but my baby, well, she was quite literally born ready, because I believed that I was just the vessel, and all I needed to do was just surrender. Probably need to do that in this moment as well. Breathe, I need to do that in this moment as well, and just let my baby birth herself. So today, guys, I am going to talk to you about how I trained my brain to look forward to birth without fear and to embrace pain. So I wanted to ask you all to think about your biggest achievement in your life, your biggest achievement. Did it just happen to you overnight? Did you just think, yeah, this is what I want, this is the success, and then that morning, boom, it happened? If only it was that easy. Absolutely not. It takes time, it takes work, there's a process. You know, you don't just arrive at the finish line. You don't just wake up one day with your dream bod. Your boss doesn't just grant you your promotion. There is a process, there's work, there's commitment, you need to educate yourself. And that's exactly how I looked at birth. I thought this is, and hands down now doing it twice, this is the biggest thing that my body's gonna go through, and it is absolutely the biggest achievement of my life. So I wanna be prepared, and I wanted to put in the work. So I actually studied hypnobirthing. I'd done it with my first daughter, but if I'm honest, my head was all over the place, and I was going through something very personal at that time that I didn't actually properly practice it. When it came to the birth, it sort of went out the window. Whereas this time, with my daughter Finty, I was very present, and I think 6 years on, I was just in a completely different place and space. So what did I do? How can you prepare for something that is so full of uncertainty? Because birth, you know, doesn't always go to plan and is quite literally full of uncertainties. Well, with hypnobirthing, I cast a vision. I cast a vision of what I wanted my birth to look like. And I relished in those feelings, and I meditated with those feelings, and I practiced birth affirmations. I popped them everywhere. My baby's head down, chin to chest, back to belly, hands to heart. I was talking myself through how my baby was going to be in the perfect position. I exercised, I prepped my body, I done my perineal massage, which is a conversation for a whole nother day. But if you're wondering what it is, it's basically where you stretch. I'm committed to this now, and I'm saying it. It's where you stretch. Yep, she's gonna say it. It's where you stretch the walls of your vagina to loosen the elasticity. It's about the only time in your life that you want a loose vagina, right? But it is really beneficial, and the reason why you do, I probably should say the reason why you do your perineal massage is to prevent from tears when you're giving birth, so it's really wise. And it worked this time. So I done my perineal massage, I exercised, I added a little sprinkle of visualization with law of attraction, but guys, it was my mindset. And I think it's a good time to tell you now that I really, really wanted a home birth. And you know when you really want something, it could be like a pet, or you want to get a new job or whatever, and those around you are like, no. But I knew in my mind, you know, in like your full being, you're like, no, this is what I wanted. And I was really sure, I had a lot of clarity, and it took a lot of convincing my partner, and I just had to almost put a massive cloak on to protect myself from people's negativity. What if this, what if that? And I was like, no, I've got this vision. I actually made a birth preference, not a birth plan, a birth preference, because we know that life doesn't go to plan. So I made the birth preference, and I literally just sat with that vision. Now, hypnobirthing is not a new thing. Yes, it's sort of seen as an alternative therapy, I guess you could say. But it's been around for years. In fact, the NHS actually offer it now to expectant mothers, which is, in my opinion, unbelievable. But what hypnobirthing taught me was oxytocin, the love hormone. So tickles, massages, stroke a furry pet. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but my cockapoo was actually there with me at the birth. My sister was like, don't say that because it sounds unhygienic, but she was. It was quite beautiful. She wasn't there for the full birth, but anyways, she was there, and I was bringing on the oxytocin. And for me, the prep really, all I wanted to do was just simplify these hormones with what my body is going through. So oxytocin. Why do we need oxytocin in birth? Oxytocin stimulates your contractions. Oxytocin thins and opens your cervix. Oxytocin helps to bring your baby down the canal, and voila, you have a baby. Again, if only it was that easy. So what fights oxytocin is adrenaline. When we're stressed, anxious, even too excited. So I just knew that I needed to be as calm and relaxed as I possibly could be. And that's why I opted for a home birth, because I think, well, there's no comfort quite like your own home, right? So why the ambulance? Sounds pretty dramatic. Well, my baby girl was coming a lot quicker than anticipated. In fact, an hour and 50 minutes before she was born, on my sofa, I got a new sofa the other day, but on the sofa, I was sat in my favourite Thai restaurant, tucking in to my favourite Thai dish, a pad Thai, and they was bringing out the sizzling beef, and I looked at my partner, I was like, I think that we need to get a takeaway now, right? I was so relaxed, and my prep that day, I felt some tightenings, and I went out. I tuned into all of those old wives' tales. I went out on a walk. I believe that you can actually bring on your labour and have an active labour by keeping active and supple. I went out on a walk. I was hugging trees. That isn't an old wives' tale to bring on labour, but I was tuning into that. I want to bring on the oxytocin. I went out for a spicy Thai. Obviously, we had to take the takeout. And we got home, and I stood up. I was now home. Gravity took its course, and I felt the urge to push. So the midwife didn't make it. And there was a moment where I thought, okay, you opted for this. There is nobody here to do this but me. And like I said, I was so ready, and I didn't realize at the time until after. But what happened to me and my baby was an involuntary, it's actually called fetal ejection reflex, where it literally just involuntary comes out, and my baby girl, with one big breath, she was born. And honestly, it was the most euphoric, beautiful, out-of-body experience. It was amazing. There's nothing more than I can say than it was absolutely unbelievable. Yes, I mentioned it was painful, but it got me thinking, what is on the other side of pain? What is on the other side of pain? All the pain, everyone has been through their ups and downs. Everyone's going through it or been through it and will go through it. And what is on the other side of pain? Because for me was my baby girl. I just had to transport my mind through hypnobirthing and all that prep that I'd done to get my reward. Because the other side of pain could be, well, it could be a blessing. It could be love, beauty, a lesson, like one big old life lesson. I feel like pain, there's an opportunity there for growth, for you to really truly get to know yourself like you never have done before, to find out the strengths that you've got when you are pushed to your absolute limit. What is on the other side of pain? Because I believe the lessons are in the pain, they're in the prep, they're not in the panic. Because if I was to panic, it would have always have been a negative experience because I stressed out in that moment. And I wanted to give you a statistic because I thought that this was really quite remarkable. It's now over 1 in 5 of women opt to have a C-section. Now, there's nothing wrong with cesareans. It's however you choose, and I think it's great that women have choice, however you choose. But the most common reason why is fear of labour pains. So if we actually embraced pain, magical things can happen and you can reap your reward. In that temporary moment of pain can be your miracle. I don't believe that we hear enough positive birth stories, and I really, really want to change that. I hope I have done today. I really want to empower and help women believe that they can have a positive birth story and that they can embrace birth and actually look forward to it and be more hopeful for a positive outcome without fear.